And we're live. This is Michael Finicaro once again at ProveIt 2026 in Dallas. It's been a pretty amazing conference, don't you think, Bill?
Oh, it definitely has. Yeah, there's been a lot of great presentations, and we have some good customers from the industry. Some of our customers are here.
And the energy level is insane, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody's pretty passionate to be here, and it's cool to see everybody kind of working together and chatting.
So why don't you introduce yourself and MaintainX, because maybe people on the podcast, not everybody knows what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Alex Murata. I'm a solution consultant at MaintainX. So MaintainX, in the context of ProveIt here, we're the work execution layer that would sit on top of anything else that you're doing, and then we're really focusing in on that for this conference, kind of how we can tie into that ecosystem. But more broadly, MaintainX is a work execution platform for
So CMMS,
operations. Right? Yeah, CMMS would be a good category for it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad to meet you guys.
Thank
you. And Bill, tell us a little bit about you and MachineMetrics.
Yeah, so Bill Byther, I'm the co-founder, CEO of MachineMetrics, and we have a AI-powered operations platform, purpose-built for discrete manufacturing. And what we like to do is we like to close what we call the execution gap in manufacturing, where you have essentially the plan that your ERP sets, and then you have the reality when work hits the shop floor, and things always go wrong, and being able to really bridge that gap is what we do through real-time machine and human data.
Awesome. Well, that's good. It'll get to the heart of some of the things we're going to talk about in AI. So, looking back to 2022, 2023, the big GPT moment, Bill, were you more skeptical or more bullish in the beginning?
Well, it certainly hit us all.
Blindsided.
Yeah, I don't know. Blindsided is the right word. It was pretty exciting. I definitely have taken the path of just bewilderment and interest, and we really dove into AI very early on. Trying to understand how this technology was going to help our customers, and I would say that to answer that question, definitely jumped on it and are very optimistic about the possibilities. And we're launching AI capabilities to our customers today, and every day the product is getting better, much faster than it did before as a result of.
That's really good. A lot of detail on that.
I'm sure, yeah.
How about you, Alex? Were you bullish or skeptical?
When it first came out, I kind of drew an analogy to like the early days of Wikipedia, where it was a powerful tool, but you had to kind of doubt and double check what it was putting out. It's obviously gotten a lot better since, but you would ask it something or ask it to do something, and it was in the kind of early hallucination days where sometimes it would give you an answer that's completely wrong.
Sometimes it give you a dancing cat.
Yeah. So I was super excited by it, but kind of early days it was you had to be careful where you use it, and it's getting a lot better now, and people are learning to kind of put guardrails on it and ground it and make sure that we've got a human in the loop for different things. So definitely excited about it. And
yeah,
similar to Bill.
Back in 22 when it first came out, it was more like using it for developing like fictional stories for your kids and things like that. Sure. And then really understanding how that applies to the business context. It took a few months to really learn the technology and see how that could apply.
Exactly.
And that's interesting. Nobody's come up with a Wikipedia analogy before. That's a good one. A lot of people talk about the .com and the AI explosion, but that's a good one.
Yeah, or like another one I've used is it's like when you ask your parents for help with your homework. You're in high school and like you ask your dad a math question. My dad's not a math guy, so he might give me an answer. I have to kind of decide whether he has kind of good background to give info on that. But yeah.
Differential equations or something
easy. He wouldn't be able to help me with that. Just like ChatGPT was terrible at math. Right?
So, I think another fundamental change we're seeing is a change in the way we develop software, right?
Yeah.
First, it was just the assistance inside of Visual Code. Then there was Cloud Code, and now, it's there's anti-gravity, which is super amazing. How are you guys respectively using AI as a development tool to make these awesome tools like MaintainX and MachineMetrics?
It's been pretty incredible, actually. I think about a year after the last question about when ChatGPT came out, we started seeing the development tools incorporate agentic AI in coding, and it became I didn't understand when it first came out just how much of an impact it would have on coding. And once I saw the capabilities there, even though it wasn't perfect, I had the whole team. I
Immediately.
gave the whole team access. I think at the time it was a GitHub Copilot,
Oh yeah.
and then Cursor came out, and that looked even better, and then Cloud Code, and it's been at that point it becomes apparent that we have to go as hard and as fast as possible to leverage this technology, not only to just do more for our customers, but to stay ahead and be competitive.
Yeah. Same experience over at MaintainX?
Yeah, very similar. So we're obviously building AI facing your customer facing features into our product, but we're using AI across the business. So not just in coding, but in accepting PRs and how do we kind of distill those down, help write good release notes as we're putting in different merge features.
And PRDs, are humans writing them, or it's all AI now?
A bit of both.
Bit of
Like
both?
mock-ups, we'll do a lot of mock-ups using AI to help kind of with designs or with certain flows that we're not quite sure how to build into our product. So we'll use tools like V0 and kind of make a quick prototype and see how it feels to interact with it. So definitely speeding up that whole process of kind of how you can what used to take quite a while that you had to do by hand. AI can make that orders of magnitude faster, so you can really iterate a lot quicker on
That's
product development and really anything in the business, which is pretty
I,
exciting.
I'm wondering too, is it changing, like the V or the agile methods, or those methods going to be
Everything is
changing?
changing.
It's insane,
I
right?
mean, we have some of the people at the company who are contributing the most production code now are actually not engineers in some cases, like designers now
Mm.
are instead of coming up with the design, PRD, we're talking about putting that in Figma, hand it off to an engineer. They can actually, with some guardrails that we put in place, they can build and produce production code. Now, there's a caveat to that, right? Because if you're not a developer, you're not really going to know, what's secure, what can really be on production. So, there's a review process that started out manual, but now we have agents running in the background that's making sure that the code is production ready. So it's just, I mean, we get better every single day, and it's been kind of enlightening to me as founder because I'm a technical founder. I hadn't written code for like 8 years or something. I've been writing more code, I should say, agentically writing more code than I
Vibe
ever have.
ever.
Because, yeah, when you're so close to the problem, you can generate real value for customers incredibly quickly with these tools, and not, it's just mind blowing what you can do now compared to even a year ago.
Yeah, I know. I had a project actually with Deloitte where they asked me to build. This was before it was called vibe coding, but I was building this computer vision thing on a library with C++ and Java, and I was already like, wow, this is insane,
Yeah.
I think that it had issues like test management was not very good, and now it's gotten better. It's just
Well, I think it's a whole shift in that life cycle. Like you were saying, kind of putting guardrails on it. I think it's shifted as we're developing code using AI. You still want that human in the loop to validate it, and that's starting to get attacked more. That you can kind of do that validation, that triaging with AI as well. So I think that those advancements are going to kind of continue trickling through the workflow um, across the board.
and I asked you at lunch about it. I haven't asked Bill yet. Do you think you're going to have an agent showing up at your Scrum meeting?
We don't have Scrum meetings.
Oh, okay,
So,
so not agile.
but no, I mean, agile isn't really the word for it. It's a continuous
CI/CD
development, and
pipeline.
agile doesn't actually fit, I think, modern coding as much as it. I mean, we still have like stand-ups, things like that, but it becomes much more like product development is changing in general, and it's really spread out across the entire company. So it isn't just about engineers, it isn't just about product. It's everyone who understands the customer are involved, to the point where we actually our engineering offsite that we're having in a couple of weeks, where we're bringing customers to that
Oh wow.
actually, so we can connect customers to the engineers
Yeah.
directly, and they'll be vibe coding. I like to call it agentic coding alongside our engineers.
But something we did last year for ProveIt that we did again this year is we brought some of our engineers, so the ones that are developing our product, and they love it. because
I'll
they get to
bet.
talk to the customers, they get to hear directly from the customers the problems that they're having. They get really creative and excited about how they can help solve those. So I think the human still plays a really important part in that. But yeah, I think what we were talking about at lunch, will you need your AI to be kind of summarizing the work they did and feeding that into whether it's a Scrum meeting or some other place? I think that's likely to happen.
Um, well, actually, so another question I usually throw in about now, and I think it's the right place to ask, is the demographics of the people that watch my podcast. I do have like maybe 20% of entry level. So I'm just figuring they must have a lot of anxiety. Oh my God, am I doing the right thing because AI is going to eat my job? Do you guys have any kind of advice of what the younger generation be working on?
I think it, like, if I can do another analogy here, it's similar to when computers came out. Right? We used to be solving, like, the planes in World War II, where they did all the CFD by hand and they were passing the results off as they're solving all the different equations. And then computers came out, and it's not that it replaced their jobs; it let them kind of go to the next level and be looking at it from a different angle. So I don't think there's any scare that AI is going to wipe out our jobs. And ultimately, the customers that both Bill and I work with, they're on the floor. They're turning wrenches. They're making parts. Um, I don't think AI is going to be turning wrenches anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to service work, manufacturing jobs, I think anything that involves a physical item, I think things are changing, but not these jobs aren't just disappearing,
Well, I
right?
was thinking more of the engineers, the
That, that's
developers,
what
the
I was
engineers.
actually going to get to because my so I have children who just are graduating university right now, and they AI hit them really fast. So they weren't even using it in high school really, or
Mm.
barely, right? And now it's they're trying to get jobs as a junior engineer or go to market role, whatever it might be, and junior hires are scarce. So it's the job market for these kids coming out on the market now is really really difficult. And the advice that I give is you 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 have to really shine above everybody else to be to really be considered for a junior role. So you have to incorporate using AI in your daily workflow and own it to really be out there. And those are the people who are going to be that any company is going to be lucky to hire and to bring on. Versus if you're kind of against it, in this generation, a lot of the kids are because they didn't grow up with it. That's going to be problematic.
I think it's a lot of the, like, non-value added work that AI can do extremely well, and then let everybody, young or old, kind of focus on what they do best and what humans do best. And it's an amplifier to me, that it's a way that you can do what you do better and faster.
It
And
seems
kind of
to me,
make
though, to some degree, that I'll have that they need to be more multidisciplined
yeah.
because, like an engineer, now they're going to have tools for simulation and manufacturing, and they're going to have to know how to use them. They're going to have to be multi. They can't be just I'm only going to do this because that's not the way the world's going to work anymore. Right?
So the skills that are going to be even more important now are human communication skills,
Exactly.
because
Prompting
that's what
skills.
well, yeah, everyone needs to be good at prompting,
Yeah.
right? So, and the other thing is having understanding a domain. Those are things that you need to train an AI to do. And that those are the skills that companies need to hire. If you're an engineer and you're not showing that you can proving, to me the education is not as important as what have you accomplished, right? And if you're building agents and you can prove it, you can go to GitHub and see that. Those are the types of people that we hire, whether you're junior or not.
But I think, like you said at the beginning there, the communication side of it's going to become very important. So even if you're using AI to help you code something, being able to explain why that's important and what you did and why that's valuable, like, that's, I think, where the human side comes in to kind of report back on whether you did it by hand or what the agents did for you. Being able to talk to that.
I wonder if it's also. I mean, surely you guys, as startups, you want to get the best talent, and you don't want them to end up going to one of the stodgy corporations. So maybe that's another positive for kids that want to go to a startup is they're going to get their hands on the best tools. They're not going to be held back using crappy corporate tools that are AI agnostic.
Yeah, I think that's another angle for sure. Like a lot of people coming into jobs, especially in manufacturing, there's a lot of very experienced, tenured maintenance professionals that are retiring, and they've become used to how they work. They're using the tools they use. As that shifts and the younger generation is coming into those roles, they're going to expect the different sets of tools and different ways to work. So yeah, to attract and retain good talent, I think having the right infrastructure, the right tools to be able to solve problems is going to be really important.
You got the same opinion of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if we relating to our customers, it's I think that maybe you might ask this question because my head was going there. It's just
Oh,
about how like customers are, our customer base is leveraging AI because
yeah, I was going to get
there's
there in
the
a minute. That
yeah
was the
because
next thing.
there's the like our company is all in, right? And if you're not, it's not the right place to work,
Right.
right? So having that experience, like I talked to some of our engineers, they're like they're thankful that as CEO that I pushed it so hard and so fast because they're ahead of a lot of the others, whether these are other tech companies that have been around for 10, 20 years, or like you said, the stodgy old companies. They're not leveraging the tools like we are and we can.
Yeah. So all the young guys, these are where you want to work, right? um, the next section I usually ask about is the touch points between the user and your software and AI. So like
Yeah.
if it's the user's actually using the AI from the get go with the chatbot or whatever, or if it's more plumbing, or if it's really the entire stack as AI.
Yeah, so I'm happy to start there. So with MaintainX, kind of where we've focused, where we've started with AI in the product, is really for the end users and to make them more efficient at what they do. So if we talk about somebody in maintenance, they have a task to accomplish. Um, core MaintainX product is to get that into their hands as quickly as possible. But once they receive that work order, um, maybe they're a young maintenance tech that's come in. They don't have a ton of experience on this equipment. How can they interact with that asset to know
Right.
what needs to be performed? So, are there spare parts that are required for this job? Can I help generate a standard operating procedure of what I need to do to resolve that error code that came out on this machine? So, that's really where we started with that end user. That's always been our philosophy from starting with the end user. And then that started to trickle down into other aspects of the platform. So reporting, can I chatbot to create a report? Show me work orders or labor utilization by team or by individual. So instead of having to go and configure and build that report, to be able to use chatbots there. And we're continuing to build out other flows, more agentic flows to kind of have voice-to-voice interaction with MaintainX or to create a work request. Can I just tell MaintainX what I wanted to create in work request and let it handle that in the back end? So I'd say we started more on the end user experience, but then we're starting to build that into more and more workflows inside of the product.
Yeah, for the people that are missing the show, they had a really cool demo with this life-size iPad. And that was really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, the giant iPad, I think it's like a 40-inch screen there. So yeah,
Very
pretty
cool.
cool.
How about with MachineMetrics?
Yeah, so we basically laid the foundation last year for AI. We've had the foundation, which is contextualized data, for many years. So we're in a really good position to leverage AI because we have all that data. So what we did is we initially built a chat agent that understood the manufacturing process, our customers' data, because we already had
Okay.
that contextualized. And it was really interesting because you could use that. The use case there is that you have an executive that isn't in the product very much. They're not really sure where to go to report on the data, so they could ask the question and get all this great context. But that's not where we were really going with that. Is incorporating AI in those jobs that are done every day and that are required, sort of like the executing work. And for that, we've been incorporating it all throughout the product. Operators are getting information on the context of like last shift. So when they're handing off
Yeah.
their shift, they have more information about what went right, what went wrong, and AI does a great job understanding and summarizing that. We're building workflows that can run every minute or every hour that can identify opportunities to improve, and then not only just alert but provide prescriptions of here, these are the steps that you should take because the context is there. And we finally what's been really interesting is that we've been adding a layer to our product that allows non-engineers, non-coders to leverage these agentic coding tools to build on top of MachineMetrics, and then those applications are embedded within our platform. So AI can help. We have a specialized MCP that allows these I guess citizen developers to then quickly extend the product through AI. So
That's really awesome.
it's used throughout, and every day it's getting better.
It's incredible because I think that a lot of people that aren't here at the show and are not familiar with the startup thing, I think it's probably pretty mind blowing how much AI is present because I think a lot of people go, it's just hype. Doesn't you guys wouldn't even exist without it? It's
No,
just
it's
amazing
well, and like you said, it's getting better and better, right? We've seen
every day.
huge leaps in the last couple of years, and I'm
And now
sure
the
that's going to
Opus
continue.
4.6 is insane, right? So now we're like several years into the AI revolution. We went through, all the ChatGPT 4, 5, and then we did the MCP craziness, and then whatever the hell that Moltbot thing was. um,
OpenClaw, yeah.
2026. So I'll do it two ways. So like, uh, are you as skeptical or bullish as you were in 2022? And do you think that right now we're at the chat GPT moment for manufacturing? Are we at that pivot where everything just changes for, because there was that open AI moment in 2022 for AI, right? That was absolute change. So are we close to that moment for manufacturing?
I think just one layer before that is what is the moment we're in right now. We had sort of ChatGPT in 2023, basically that
Yep.
sort of hit us, right? And then
MCP last
2024
year.
we started using it for coding. 2025 we understood agents,
Yep.
right? So like agentic agents that actually like help you do work, like that was kind of the big thing. And in 2026, like we're just starting, and then you see like the open claw and all that just came out of nowhere. What's what
Apparently completely insecure.
and oh yeah,
Nick Malota just made a
there's
post out that this morning.
there's a lot of challenges with that, but it also presents an opportunity and a glimpse into the future, right? And where I definitely see a future in manufacturing where agents are going to be running a lot of the administrative aspects of manufacturing. A lot of the data flowing is going to be, you're going to see less and less user experiences. You're going to see more work happening behind the scenes, but with people still heavily involved in review, compliance, and actually like moving material, right? Or obviously the robotics are going to get more involved. That might be a 27 thing that we see, but I'm extremely bullish, but it's also kind of scary, right? So it's one of those things where it's like it's happening, snowballs rolling downhill. We're just trying to figure out how to stay ahead and make sure we leverage that as much as we can to help our
Skynet.
customers. So
Terminator 2.
yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with Bill there. One thing we've been very cautious on as we implement AI in MaintainX is like this is serious work what people are doing on the floor, and there's a high risk of something going poorly if they get incorrect information. So we've been very diligent and careful on making sure that any AI that's built into the product has a human in the loop, and that we can quote where that came from and that it's grounded in trusted sources. The last thing we want is some young professional going out and getting an answer that was pulled off of Reddit that's regurgitated through the AI and is incorrect and could lead to
There's 1,000 instead of 10, and
it could lead to failures on the equipment. It could lead to injury or loss of life. So we're very cautious about that. We're very bullish on AI. I think, as you said, it can take out a lot of that administrative work, the kind of non-value add. But at the end of the day, we do need to make sure that it's grounded, it's trusted, and that if it doesn't know, it's not afraid to tell you that. Right? Hey, you should go
look at the manual.
or talk to your manager. We'll pull the manuals in. That's one of the key sources that we use to kind of surface that information. But if you're asking about something you're not qualified to do, it's maybe an electrician's work and you're a level 1 technician, that we can put those guardrails in place that hey, that's probably something you shouldn't be doing. You should go talk to your boss and get an electrician.
And that is what's so interesting. I think we're kind of at that point now where we're understanding what those guardrails are, what they can be, and going back to the source, like what's the source of truth for that made those decisions. Uh, but you still have to be very careful because every bit of information that's provided for a decision, cannot be hallucinated. It can't be wrong. Because it's your company's reliability, it's the safety of your customers. It's something that you have to put as priority number one.
Yeah. Reminds me what CJ from Flowview said yesterday. He said that he thinks that MCP is already obsolete and we need like an MCP2 that has authentication. And I would go a step further. It needs authentication and it needs audited. Like anything it does, it needs to be written down somewhere.
Well, at MCP, there's the OAuth 2.1 does have authentication. So we recently rolled out an MCP that's remote. So you need it's secure.
Mm.
But I think so they're starting to solve the security issue with MCP. But what MCP is, it's a bunch of tools. It actually doesn't run the agents, right? So what's missing is I think the next thing that we're looking at is like A2A protocol and having agents communicating with agents, and that you want to look at.
Just on multiple.
Well, yeah, but that's where OpenClaw, which I just picked up by OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
They really proved out how agent to agent is really really powerful,
Yeah.
and I think that's dawn of agents was last year. I think agents communicating with other agents is probably the big thing of this year, and it needs a new protocol.
I agree with that. I think it's going to be one of those things that evolves, and I'm sure there are things that we don't know we need yet that will come out as we solve these other challenges. So, whether it's MCP 2.0 or some other combination of different protocols and whatever that ends up being.
So for the end of the podcast, I usually talk about digital maturity because I usually think of on a scale of 1 to 5. Like 1, they're still using email and Excel, which unfortunately is still probably prevalent. And 5 would be fully autonomous agentic, factories. Basically, what Jensen announced last year, the AI factory, right? That would be a 5. When you guys go to customers, without naming any, but I don't know if it's industry by industry or you could just say overall, no, my customers are all at 1. Where do you see your customers sitting on that spectrum?
What I see is that it's not consistent across the business. So there may be companies that are very advanced in some areas. Maybe their supply chain is fully optimized and they're knocking that out of the park, but they're still doing maintenance on it. Or like just as an example, so I wouldn't go as far as to say it's by industry or even by size, because we see some kind of middle market, mid-sized manufacturers that are absolutely crushing it. They've got everything connected. They're far and away more advanced than some of the Fortune 100s or Fortune 500s that are kind of stuck in their own momentum. So we definitely see it across the spectrum, but I would say probably tending more to that kind of 2.5 level is where I think a lot of people are if we had to explore kind of.
Does that seem the experience you've had?
I was thinking more like 1 to 1.5 is what I see, and
There's a lot of those.
Yeah, and really, if you want to put sort of generalization on it, there are some exceptions, but very few. And what's interesting about manufacturing is manufacturing's always been a little behind some other other industries when it comes to not necessarily like physical technologies like machines and robotics, but when it comes to like software systems. Really, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I think there's an opportunity for manufacturing to leverage agentic AI a lot faster, like right in the coattails of the rest of the industry, because it's moving so quickly, and it really will take vendors like MaintainX, MachineMetrics to really guide our customers to use this technology to really to stay ahead.
Which is an excellent segue to my last question, which is if the customer is admittedly between 1.5 or closer to 2, and then they use MaintainX and they use MachineMetrics. Is there an epiphany? Do they say, "Oh my God, if I knew data governance, I broke the silos, and I got people talk to each other, collaborating, I would be able to move further to the right"? Is there like, does implementing an AI powered startup, is that a catalyst for digital transformation more so than one of the old, stodgy companies?
I mean, I'd say if customers using MachineMetrics and MaintainX, it's all integrated. They're rolling out. They're definitely on the. They're moving their way up to the 5 that we said.
That's it, but does the rest of the organization, does the customer say, "Wow, I need to, work on my data governance, and I need to have"?
Yeah, I mean, we're even these two technologies. That's just one part of the whole organization, right? You have these legacy ERP systems running on SAP, and they're it takes a long time. I mean, some of these rollouts can take years, and that's the area that needs disruption. Where it's this. If you really want to adopt these technologies and be ahead, you can't be bring in a system that takes years to implement. It does not compute in this era.
Well, and one thing we say a lot at MaintainX is crawl, walk, run. So I see a lot of companies that are at that 1 or 2 level, and they want to get to 4 or 5, and they want to jump right from 2 to 4. But there's that middle step that's super important of getting that data in, organizing it, structuring it, using the AI tools that are built into the products to help be more efficient in what you do. But that also lays the foundation so that you can start working your way up. So to Bill's point too, I think that's working with companies that are fast moving, that are adopting these technologies, helps get you quicker to a solid foundation that you can start to build.
Yeah, and the thing to consider right now is that the technologies are evolving so quickly. It's a bit overwhelming, even for us that are building these technologies to keep up. And these manufacturers, have it's a lot. It's a lot to understand how to incorporate. You're starting to see some. There's like, oh, now we can use ChatGPT. Well, that was 3 years ago, right? And it's like we're well beyond that now. But that's like a big innovation. I don't know. I'm here really to help our customers move a little faster, right? To really have them see that they can become more competitive, more efficient by leveraging these tools quicker and getting to value faster.
I forgot to ask you guys, what was your favorite presentation besides your own? What was your favorite?
Well, Bill and I were joking before we got on here that we both
You
liked
would
each other's
switch.
presentations, but I saw the high bite presentation that I thought was pretty good at the beginning today.
Despite
Unfortunately, they had
laptop issue.
they had a laptop issue, but I liked seeing the problem they were attacking. They went after the farm use case.
Yeah, they're one of the only ones that did that.
Many others do that, but I liked as well just kind of how they were reusing the context that you build into Highlight to send out to a variety of different systems, whether that's like Historian, a system like MaintainX, so that's one that's fresh off my mind. But honestly, all the presentations actually
Really
very
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stick to what I'm going to say. I really enjoyed the MaintainX presentation. I think the fact how we've been able to no, it's okay because I like how
There's you a beer tonight.
because and the reason is because you've really sort of adopted the philosophy of working with the other vendors, and so you've really carved out the space. You're the only maintenance, real focused maintenance provider here, and it's great to see how you're working with the other vendors, so that was great to me. I didn't see all the presentations, so I can't comment on that.
Oh, yeah, it's
I'm
hard
honestly
because
been surprised how many other vendors are using MaintainX in their solution. Like, I knew of some of them, but I'd sit in the presentation of MaintainX pop up and like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So what's next for you guys? Are you guys doing other trade shows so people can come and meet you?
Oh yeah, quite a few. I think the big one for us this year is there's an event called IMTS, which is a machining.
In Chicago, right?
That's in Chicago, McCormick Center in September. Definitely our biggest one this year. But we have a number of other events, even small ones like that we go to almost every week.
You guys are, of course, invited to come to Threaded in Miami on April 13th.
It's good. Yeah, similar to Bill, we're doing a bunch of different events. Me personally, I don't have the next one planned, but we'll be at IMTS as well. If we're at a conference almost every week or two, it seems.
I'm gonna have to see if I can do podcasting for my team next time. So
Yeah.
I saw you guys going to do This has been great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Alex.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
And thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, in a few minutes, I think I'm going to have Arlen and Thomas, the inventors of MQTT and OPCUA. So this is going to be pretty exciting.
Awesome.
We'll be right back. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome.